Now, with so many projects in the shop, one of the things that becomes challenging is scheduling the different jobs. And we're at a point right now where we're in the middle of actually doing 4 different motorcycles. And what I try to do in the beginning of every day that I'm going to paint is I try to evaluate, and I wanted to share how I do this. So I look at the parts and I say, okay, the first thing I would like to do is work on a bimotor, but we don't have the paint yet. We're still in the process of getting the correct paint. So the bimotor has to go on the back burner today. I have the fairing parts, and I'm ready to paint the red stripe. I have the pictures. I have all of the dimensions from Mark. I don't have the dimensions for the number plates, or I could paint the number plates today. So see what happens? This is what happens every day when you get into doing 3, 4, and 5 motorcycles at the same time. Luciano is waiting to get in the bullpen here with his bike, but we just don't have the room here, and it's a real problem. Oh, so what I thought I could do today, I can take all the back masking off some of these parts. The ones that are not going to get decals, I can get a coat of clear on. And what we did, we changed what we're going to do to Glenn's bike, and we're just waiting for some numbers to come so I can lay out number plates. I can paint some of these things. Now this part here has no, as far as I know, in a couple of days we're going to have the custom decals from John Pothier. So see what happens. This I did the test of the clear. That's actually ready. I could sand it out and pour some more clear on. We have all of these stickers that Mark provided. I have this piece. Now this piece, these pieces I need to look at the pictures to make sure I get the decals on right. And some of the things like putting the Honda stickers on and stuff, I'm going to wait until I have Mark come over in the evening and work on them. But so I'm limited. I really don't have an unlimited amount of choices when I have, even though you look around, I have this many parts. Everything is being held up by something. And that's the challenge of doing multiple motorcycles at the same time. So the first thing I want to do, I want to get the main fairing part here, and I can see where that stripe goes and it dives in just a little bit here. I can try to get this back mask because it is a paintable day, and it will bring us one step closer to having this project moving along. Now it's always, we have these decals already, but I don't want to put these on until I have the stripe finalized, because then I'd have to back mask over those decals. The idea is to do this with as little back masking as possible. Now, as can happen a lot of times on a job like this, there's always some unexpected thing that pops up. Now, because I hadn't worked on this part in a few days, I had forgotten. I need to address this area here, and I want to show this. One of the things, this is probably a common thing. When they molded this part, there's a ridge up here. We want to obviously get rid of that ridge. I think this one's a little bit better. Well, and as I looked at it, now, this is why the system that works for me the best is to just go over something over, because each time I go over it, I find something I didn't see the first time. Now, in this case, I get frustrated with this stuff. I probably need to address this in a little bit different way than I normally would, because this is all plastic. See, it's not a joint. It's just a piece in the plastic that's sticking up here. So what I'm going to try, always wonder if it's your lucky day anyway. Let's see if I can do this dry. If I can't, I'll do it wet. But because if you're doing a restoration and you just want to make it the way the factory made it with these lumps and bumps and, yeah, well, I don't. I know Mark doesn't either. So I'm going to take a hard sanding block and try to get rid of these. And what I can do is go outside then today, because it's a paintable day, and basically get another coat of white on this. Yeah, this is going to come out relatively easily. See, I always try to get ahead of myself. I always want to get out the tape and get out the paint. But if you go back and do this, the body work several times, it always winds up in the end, you're happy you spent the time. Now, and it looks like this is going to be pretty extensive. I may have to wet sand this. There's quite a bit of material that's going to have to come off here. But all of these things can be addressed if you're willing to spend the time. Now, if you're not willing to spend the time, obviously, you know, you just, it's not the case. But and on many of the bikes that I have, it's these little details. You don't even notice them, and all of a sudden you look at the whole bike in one piece, and you say, "Wow, that's a nice looking bike." Then you look at a stock one, paint's not quite as shiny. There's joints, and you ever notice on motorcycles they never bring the stripe right to the end because the sticker can't go around the corners, so they end it, and then they, yeah, okay, but. When you're doing it yourself, see, when you're doing it yourself, you have the choice of doing it the right way. Now, another little detail that, as long as I'm going to do this, this is a carbon fiber repair patch that Mark had made, and I don't want it to have any sharp edges, so every time we color sand this, I'm going to go back in here and clean this up. Try to make it a little bit smoother, a little bit nicer. These are all small, again, everything we're doing here is small details. A lot of people would, and I see another spot out here, that Mark's got plenty of carbon fiber reinforcement here. It's just, I'd like to make it a little bit smoother, if possible. Keep that radius on everything. And I'm going to just finish the sanding, only the parts that need to be addressed here, and then take this outside and spray it while we have access to some sprayable weather here. Now this will probably be the last color sanding we can do at 400. And from this point on we'll use 600. But since some of these spots are really kind of rough here, it was nice that Turbo Steve and both Turbo Steve and Mark gave me a hand with the color sanding the last time we had one of our get-togethers, because a lot of this is just time consuming. And again, these are all steps. If you skip them somewhere down the road, you pay. But boy, when you put them all together, and especially where these scoops are, I know there's going to be a decal there. It's going to be a focal point of the whole thing. I don't want this to be compromised in any way. And each time I go through this, what's going to happen, it's going to pick up high spots. Sometimes they're not obvious. Sometimes they are. And another thing is to get all the edges radius too at the same time. Just want to remind everybody that's doing this, and I've gotten so much good feedback on these painting videos. One of the most important parts of restoring the whole thing is to get all the edges radius. And boy, you can't skimp on that. And every time you color sand, and luckily Mark has bought a gallon of paint, so I'm not concerned with trying to salvage paint or save paint. But these radiuses, actually when the bike is all put together, the light is going to walk right up along that edge. And if it's nice and smooth, it really adds a nice touch. When you have rough and anywhere there's sharp edge, there's a potential for paint to start peeling. Now, especially true with a two-stroke, where there's a lot of high vibration. And just the thing, I get crazy about it because after all the work you put into a part like this, and I mean there are a lot of hours into Mark's project, to have the paint crack somewhere down the road, very frustrating. Now I've got even these edges around here. Every time I color sand, I go around them. Every time there's an opening, every time there's a radius. It's all little details, but in the end, when you have it all done, we're pretty much coming up on the point I got to clean this and prep it and get it ready to spray. Every one of the hours we've spent doing this is going to pay dividends. Now you can see another thing, that's all of these high spots that you normally would never see until you put the clear on. Then you say, ah, they've all popped through. So what I want to do is around those edges, get one coat on there before I do anything. And I will obviously, and then at the end, paint the whole part white again. But any of the spots that have come through, I know we're low on paint. Always the edges, never skip the edges. The more times you can sand and repaint the edges, the better chance you have of getting them right. And we hit this amazing thing. I mean, we're in the middle, not even in the middle of March, and it's a beautiful day to paint down here. Beautiful day to ride, by the way. And we've gotten some rides in, but now I see another spot that I totally missed. After all this, I missed it. You can't believe how easy it is to just miss a spot. You color sand, the thing pops right up. Especially with white. White kind of obscures everything, and we'll do this a couple more times before we even try to paint the stripe. I don't know what I was thinking before. I'm always optimistic. Really not that optimistic. Always the edges. On a really nice job, the edges are always radius. We minimize the risk of peeling the paint. And we have that one spot down there. But the point is, right up into the point you put the clear on. Now see where I've gone over this, it's already tacked out. I can put the next coat right on. Right there, baby. In that radius, I had to wet sand a lot. That's another spot. Around here, we know we're going to get hammered. That's not going to come smooth for another couple of sandings. But each time we do this, it'll be much nicer than the time before. Now, in the course of the day, I got to wet sand this out twice. And each time, I think we're closing in on having it ready to put the striping on. That's really going to dry up nice. Now, we also have, Glenn is waiting for the numbers for the number plates. As soon as we lay out the number plates in white on this job, and I have to strip his tank yet. But we are really busy this winter. This is the busiest winter we've ever had. Now, to just show you how crazy this whole winter has been, it's March 11th, and the fish are already eating. Now, usually they don't eat till sometimes the middle of May. Of course, they don't get fed all winter, so this is actually the first day that they're aggressively looking for food here. I guess like I'm always aggressively looking for food. See, now the next step while our fairing, and boy, am I happy that our fairing is just, what happened to the lights? Ah! Karen walks upstairs and shuts the lights off. I'll turn them on. We don't have a studio. We don't have one of those Otto Preminger studio things. We got... Anyway, what I wanted to show this. We're taking off the tape. And I want to pull it back slowly. If it were cold in here, and it's not today, I would definitely want to warm this with a hairdryer, but it's like 70 degrees in here right now. Now, there's a couple of things, and I've emphasized this in the past. I'll just show one. Once this is up, there's an edge. And you can always feel this edge. This edge, no matter how you paint, that edge is going to be there. There's a lot of ways to deal with this edge. You can take a credit card and just go, but when you're dealing with white, it's a problem. It scratches the white and you see the scratches. So what I do without that, I just use my fingernail, gently break that edge. And I can see, I hope I can see this on the macro lens. You can see where it's actually cut. Well, let's get up there. And once I can break that edge, I can clean it up a lot nicer than if I didn't. Okay, and the rest of this, we have 3 parts to take the tape off. And then we can, well, I don't know how much time we're going to have. Joe Roselli's coming over. Karen was down here, and she told me Joe's coming over for a visit. The 2 seats are pretty much ready for the decals. I know Mark brought the decals over here, these stickers. There's still more coming, and I'm not sure I'm going to have time to do any of this because, well, we're always working around some time constraint, but it doesn't really matter. I know the decals that are going to go on here, these V4 decals, he made a V-twin out of it, and I'll explain that when we actually get the decals from John Pothier. But pretty exciting at this point, and really starting to shape up. Now, I had thought of on Glenn's bike doing some gold leaf, and Karen has this craft gold leaf, which I don't know if it's going to be any good or not. Maybe we'll just paint it gold. Wanted to do some gold work on that. Anyway, it's a track bike. It's not going to be, to be honest, you know, we're not going to spend the amount of time that we're spending on Mark's bike, or on, and certainly not on our Bimota. Our poor Bimota. We need paint. Where's my paint? Now, I actually pre-warmed this up just a little bit since it's so large of a piece. And here's the issue. This tank has had a lot of body work on it, a lot of little spots, and one of the spots that we've had body work on and repaired it and wet sanded and everything is it's going right through the tape line. In fact, it's right here. Now, you won't see it when we're done, but I want to be very careful about that. The paint is a little more vulnerable right where that Bondo is. Not Bondo, whatever it is. Okay. Now, that little thin tape, hey, I was real happy to hear and see that how happy Vince was with his project. I hope we may be riding with him this very soon. And all these little pieces of tape, of course, are a nuisance to get off. Now, there's always some little spot where a little bit of overspray or something comes in. And usually it's where there's a valley. So I'm very careful. I don't want to just rip this up. And I want to show this. Let me peel this back. This is what I wanted to show. You can see where the little overspray has come in there. Now, to fix that the right way, what I'm going to have to do is just put a piece of backmasking tape here and just touch that. Once I'll sand that red off. If I don't sand the red off and paint white over it, it's going to tend to be pink in time. So that'll be one thing. All these little touch-ups, and yeah, I know what you're probably thinking is, oh, so-and-so is such a good painter, he never has these touch-ups. He has the touch-ups and he just doesn't tell you. That's the reality of this. There's always little touch-up spots. And again, it's just one of the little details that I hope in the final product of this job and all our jobs, these little touch-ups go a long way toward making it, when it's all put together and all buffed out and you're at the show and the judges are handing out those $1,000 bills, free pizzas, whatever. Okay, so we got the front touch-up done. We got the back touch-up done. Wow. And as soon as that paint dries up, we'll have all the parts that have the red striping done, except for the fairing. So now we get to one of the tricky parts. Not really tricky, but I'm looking at the picture. I've got two of the stickers. I got to make sure I got the right leg. This is the leg. This is the one that has the adjustment. This part goes down, and the lettering goes from the screw back. You know what? This is what I always fear with these things. Let me tear this apart. I get a sickening feeling in my stomach. This is not going to fit. I could be wrong. Now, I wonder if Mark had these downsized or not. They look too big. Now, I got two sets. There's another set over here. Oh, Mark. You're making my life so difficult. Let's see if these are any thicker or thinner or... No, they're exactly the same. So, dilemma number one, I'm going to trim this out with a scissor and see, it really does fit, but boy, it's a tight fit. That's what happened. I think he had these made from at a sign shop, I'm not sure. We got to resolve this right now. Now, no day at Wendy's would be complete without a double-decker of cookies. Right, Joe? Of course, right, Wendy. Who needs to work on bikes? Mark, your bike's going downhill. Oh my God, these cookies are good. I think I'll have an extra one. Maybe I'll have two.
You can have whatever.
So to stay ended on a dead end, here's what's the real problem is. These decals are just too big to fit in position on this. And we had Joe Roselli here eating cookies with Wendy. And we had a conference call with Mark. And he decided what we're going to try to do. See, we tried to trim the decal down in size. Didn't look right. The orange isn't really a good match. It's close but no cigar, but it's not at the level we're trying to do this restoration at. So what we decided to do is just wait a few days when Mark's going to be available. He's busy, of course, with his job. And he's going to come over for a decal installation party. And what we're going to try to do, it was Joe Roselli's idea, is, see, the white ones are going to go on a white bike. He's got two of these bikes. The red ones will go on a red bike. But here's what's going to happen. You're going to print these on clear so that we do see the letters. And then the clear from this, it'll definitely be a better shot, a much better shot at doing it. So, but what we did get done today was a very significant thing. The tank really came out nice. These parts are going to be ready for decals and clear the next time Mark is here. And again, because this is such an intense project, we want it to be perfect. And I shouldn't kid around. We want everything to be perfect. That's the way it is. I guess we're just I just got old ladies or something. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video.